Welcome to The Conscious Investor. Let's get started. You know, I'm always excited about my guests, but I am especially excited about my guests this week. And all week long, you get to be joined by Tate Siemer. And Tate is just a fantastic human being, but we also share a lot of hobbies, extracurricular hobbies, like outdoorsy fun things, that are like in line, and the passion and love of investing in multifamily. So many cool things. He has an amazing team that he works with over at GreenLight Capital. And so Carl is fantastic. I'm not just saying this because Carl's listening in, he's in the same room, but genuinely, I got to share space with him. Fantastic human. And Chelsea Garber, also on the GreenLight Equity team, like absolutely fantastic people based out of Salt Lake City, which is another mountains, love it. So, Tate, I'm so excited. I've been on your podcast, and I'm not one of those podcasters where if I'm on your podcast, you're on my podcast, but you were one where I'm like, how do I get Tate onto my podcast? Like, how do I find this? Space must be made. So I just want to say thank you for coming on The Conscious Investor.
I am so glad to be here, and I'm really excited about The Conscious Investor and you and everything that you're up to in this new format. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it. It's awesome.
It's absolutely amazing. So Tate, this first episode, I always like to dive into who are you? Because a lot of people, as small as our multifamily investing pool is, this podcast reaches a lot of people that are, well beyond that realm. And so they don't know who you are. And so Can you just tell us who is Tate?
Yeah, you bet. So there's all kinds of ways to answer that one, right? You can go like existential philosophy or spirituality or and I'm a pretty essentially spiritual person. I think, not very necessarily religious, but very the who am I question is for me an all encompassing sort of thing. And what the authentic answer that I would say is to this, and I'll keep my spirituality out of it after this. I say this, but
you can leave it in. It's part of who people are.
I really think that we are all each like the whole universe in a drop. I've heard that analogy before, and meaning that in Christianity, they talk about us being made in God's image. And I really feel like we are ultimately as spirit, a chip off the old block, so to speak. And essentially a hologram of the real divinity and, the oneness of it all. And so, and truthfully, that's kind of the space that I live in general. It's, I can't separate my, that paradigm and my spiritual world from my business or anything else. It's all congruent. It's all, integrated. And I think it's one of the reasons I'm successful, right now in my life. So yeah. It's pretty exciting.
I love that. I have people answer that question, and I love how everyone has a really unique answer. And I'm currently working on a book on the concept of who, because I think it's the single most important question that needs to be asked out in the world, because it doesn't matter, the other questions, what, when, where, why is such a popular question. And actually it's really the last of the lineup, because there's no why if there isn't a who. Like, you have to know who you are and what grounds you, what centers you, have some connection to your path, like your past, your faith, spirituality, all of these things make up who we are and allow us, like you said, you're like, hey, this is what I believe allows me to be successful. Like knowing who I am as a person, every person, that just allows you to just go live in confidence and go do whatever you need to.
That's so well said. I think knowing yourself in life and business and entrepreneurship and personal relationships, in your physical life, all aspects of your life, knowing yourself, knowing what it is that makes you tick as a person, knowing kind of where your hangups are and your limitations are, and really like having done to me, this all is a result of having done like very core level personal work. And so I feel like I have a very strong sense of self knowledge and awareness, and a pretty high level of consciousness, to use the word in your podcast, due mainly to like getting my butt kicked in life numerous times and having to spiritually evolve to become a person that integrates that and makes the best of it and doesn't get taken out by it. So yeah, and there were definitely some very dark nights of the soul in my journey in the past, and long before real estate and whatnot. It's but those are the moments and the events that shaped me in a lot of ways. I think hopefully gave me a lot of humility and a lot of compassion for people that are, all of us have our struggles. And so, I love sharing about this because we're all ultimately in the same boat. Like we have a common humanity that, that really is, you can't escape. And it's a wonderful miracle to be a human being, I think, and to get to live this life. So, I really enjoy getting to share about it. To further answer your question about who I am, and to answer it on a different level, I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and 48. And basically, I'm a very passionate, like you mentioned, outdoorsy. I kind of consider myself skier, like number one. Actually, dog dad is number one for me. I'm a dog dad, and that's my number one. And skier is right up there. And then this apartment multifamily asset class space is like, I'm so lit up by it and spend 12 to 13, 14 hours a day on it. And it's very much my life right now. And I love it, love it, love it. So I'm super excited about it. And that's kind of who I am. I serve on the board of the Utah Real Estate Investor Association. Stuff like that going on. And I host the Apartment Guys podcast. You mentioned that I was a podcast host, and I love that because I get to hang out with people like Julie Holly and other just high level people on the regular, which is a privilege. Really, I guess ultimately, like who I consider myself to be is kind of a stand for all of our greatness, meaning that I believe all of us have greatness in us, and whatever that looks like, it's not the same for everybody. And we need people to be great at cleaning and cooking and administrative work, and we also need visionaries, and we need people to be great at being executives, and people to be great tacticians and operators. And so it's different for as many billion people as there are right now. There's just that many billion different ways that this can look. But I really feel like we all ultimately hopefully have access at least to a level of like an inner life level of peace and prosperity and kind of just well-being, right? Like just like I think the ultimate wealth is health, and I think part of health is the space between your ears, right? Like that real estate between your ears that is so important to develop. when that place is a good place to be and a happy place to be and a drama-free place to be for the most part, and all of us have our drunk monkey going on in our head all the time, like that's a reality. Well, no matter how enlightened you are, you're still going to have the chatter in your head. You know, at least that's what all the teachers say. And that's okay. Like, that's great, but you don't let it run the show. Like, it's not who you are, right? That's the difference in becoming more and more conscious, is you become more and more aware of who you really are versus maybe some of the stuff that's not who you are, that a lot of times we kind of trip up and think that we're the chatter in our head or the voice in our head, if that makes sense. So, so all of that, like, and then I would say that, you know, maybe one last layer is like, I'm out to transform Class C workforce level housing in Columbus and Oklahoma City. And I'm a stand that people have safe, clean places to live that offer a lot of opportunity for well-being and thriving, and that our investors do very, very well as a result of those projects. So yeah, that's the best I can do with that question. I can probably talk a lot more, but you know, that's I think the essentials right there.
Oh my gosh, those are so deep, all of the essentials, and so important. But so many people aren't able to articulate that, you know, and you're able to say, if this is a, you know, a pie diagram, you can say like, hey, these are the different parts of who I am. These things are what make me me. And we are also unique, but we're also so human, so alike. And so being able to just link it all together is so profound. And you and I have that shared mission, or I should say GreenLight Equity and Three Keys Investments, of, you know, really supporting housing for residents that is quality and caring for them in every single way. And that's one of the draws I have, you know, to GreenLight, is like, gosh, you know, that's so important to be able to support people in that way, and communities, and increasingly the importance of that is just increasing year by year as you know, as things shift in our country.
Yeah, no doubt. Awesome.
Oh my goodness. I want to dive so much deeper. So we're going to wrap this up, because I want to dive into mindset with you.
Yep.
And so Tate, what is the very best way, number one best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So investwithgreenlight.com has everything that you need you can book an appointment with me there, have a 10-15 minute Zoom meeting if you want to talk business or anything else. I'm here to help in any way I can, and kind of a no strings attached sort of way. You can find out about our company there and our team and how we invest and opportunities to partner with us. And they're, you know, good resources. My ebook is downloadable there. So yeah, investwithgreenlight.com.
That is fantastic. And I love it when, you know, people like you have taken time to create really great content. Like your website is rich. There's a lot that people can find there. There's a reason to go. It's not just, I'm going to go and see the exact same information that I see on every other website. I mean, there are valuable resources and ways to connect so that you can have that phone call and that conversation. So make sure that you head over there and, you know, find all the resources, download them, hop on, mailing lists and things like that. But the number one thing everyone needs to remember to do always, if you're interested in investing with any guest, but especially with GreenLight Equity, is you need to make sure that you have that phone call, have that conversation, so that you are on their investor list, because you don't want to miss out on the opportunities that they have because you're not on their investor list. And I think, I'm not sure, so correct me if I'm wrong, Tate, but I think you guys probably have a lot of 506B offerings.
We do. Yeah, that's right. Our last number of offerings have been 506B. So you want to be on our list. You want to have a good, solid relationship with us so that you can invest in the 506B offerings. Yep.
Super, super important. So if you don't know the difference between like 506B and 506C and QRSYZ, LMNOP soup, no. But if you're still a little confused and you want to know what that actually means, just head over to the Conscious Investor YouTube channel. There's a playlist for apartment investing made simple, and you can check out the video on the difference between 506B and C, and to help you identify who you are, because we're talking about who we are, identify who you are as an investor, and then you'll really understand how critical it is that you are, on investor lists.
Yeah.
Well, that was
I'm making a note to go to your YouTube channel right now. Can't wait to check it out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's just a quiet spot. So everyone who is listening, if you love the podcast, make sure you're following it, but show some love over. I haven't really tried to ever grow the YouTube channel. It's just there.
It's a tough one.
Support vehicle.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be able to put resources.
It sure is. It sure is.
Really powerful.
Yeah.
Well, that was like my longest exit ever. And everyone listening, that probably was my longest exit ever, but it's also really important information. Well, until next time, you already have lots of call to actions there. So I'm not going to leave you with anything else, except until next time, live big, love bigger. A lot of people missed out on my recent offering because they simply weren't on my investor list. Being on my newsletter list won't provide you with access to the deals I have. This is because 506B regulations require you and I actually discuss your investment goals before I can show you the deals I have. If you're on the fence about investing in apartments, schedule a call today at 3keysinvestments.com. If you think you're new, so you don't want to be on an investor list, you're missing out on opportunities to refine your ability to review offerings because you simply will never see them. So head over to 3 Keys Investments and schedule a call.